I want to assure you that I am still with you, and I'll be consistent with my messages. I've come before you today in order to give you a simple message. I know it's a common theme, something that you have heard about, but probably knowing that God has been speaking to us in different ways, you will still get this message in a different way. But when you go into the Bible, you have read about it. This message is coming from Numbers. You know, I want to draw your attention to what God instructed Moses. But before you come to understand the underlying essence of God's instruction, I want to tell you from the beginning that the message that I'm about to give you is built on the foundation of love and care. This is what I've been talking about all along. So today, I have captured a moment when Moses was given instruction by God, saying, Moses, count the people by tribe, by family, and individually. Now, I've been trying to establish the reason why God gave such type of an instruction to Moses. Then it brings me to some of the questions that God asked at the beginning. He asked Adam by saying, Adam, where are you? He addressed Adam as an individual. Then Cain, he asked a question. God asked a question. Cain, where is your brother? And in all these two cases, answers were given. And these two questions that God asked have echoed throughout generations. Now, when I look the question that was asked by God to Adam, it was about individual identity. Coming to the question that God asked Cain, it was about family identity. Now, I bring you back to the instruction that Moses was given by God to count the people of Israel by tribe, by family, and individually. When I look at a person is from the perspective of God. God is so much concerned about every person, everyone. God is so much concerned about that particular person's belonging to the family. And God is so much concerned about that particular family belonging to the tribe. There is no particular person from the point of God who must be left unnoticed. Everyone is in view of God. And the reason why he told Moses, or instructed Moses to count, because he wanted the people of Israel to be identified correctly, because God is a God of order. I've always said that, even from the creation itself, you can tell that God is a God of order. So even in the way he wants to organize the society, he wants the society to be organized in an ordered way. Now we are talking about a moment when the people of Israel met God after they had been given the commandments along the way to the land that was flowing with honey and milk when they were coming from Egypt. They left Egypt as a disorganized group, but along the way God was organizing them by giving them leaders, giving them the laws. And after giving them the laws to establish a nation, he gave that instruction to Moses so that the people of Israel could be identified properly. You know, when you are identified within the society, when you are identified within the community, you can't be left out. God never said, you need to separate them, the rich, the poor, the what. But he just said, count them one, by families, and by tribe. He wanted any particular person who is counted to be identifiable with the family, and that family be identifiable with the tribe, so that people could be properly accounted for. People could also, be given responsibilities according to their age groups, according to their tribes. That's what God wanted. He wanted people basically to have a sense of belonging to the family, to the tribe, and family, and finally to the entire community of Israel, which was called a nation. And you see, when I look at this, I'm beginning to see the importance of counting, importance of census, importance of, just being counted. When I talk about being counted, I'm talking about being known, being identified. And God himself had to provide a basic framework of identification through the family, through the tribe, even individually. Now, I'm talking about counting. Then I'm also focusing on another counting that took place during the time of Jesus Christ. That Augustine Caesar had to order a census where people should be registered. Now, I'm looking at Joseph, whose family lineage could be traced from David. Now, this man, realizing that his family lineage could be best be identified in Bethlehem, he went with the family, he went with his wife from Nazareth to Bethlehem to get counted. And there was a double coincidence. God was giving his son to the world. In other words, Jesus Christ was about to be born, and there was a census. In other words, the desire for God to save humanity, and there was a command by Augustine Caesar, whose command was perfectly aligned with the will of God. And Jesus Christ was born at a time like this one, so that he could also be captured in the national census. That's basically the way it was. So that even in later years, when people would want to know exactly if his claim of identity was correct, they could still go to the national census and they would still find the name there. So you could see that everything was perfectly aligned according to the will of God. Now, when we look at this, we look at Jesus Christ as a model of our faith, who was born in a family, identified in a family, identifiable with the family lineage of David, such that when he told the people that he was a son of David, no one could dispute. Even though there were arguments here and there, but it was not easy for anybody to counter that claim. What gave credence to the claim that Jesus Christ was a son of David? It was because Jesus Christ was counted. The father was Joseph, whose ancestral line was very clear from the beginning. And it became very easy for Jesus Christ, as I have already alluded to in other presentations, to be cared for properly until he grew up. You see? And this is the same Jesus Christ in later years who said, if you have got 100 sheep in a flock, sheep, and one of them gets lost, a good shepherd will leave the 99 to go and look for one. So you could see that the counting, the sheep was taken account of, was cared for. And this is an example that was given to bear upon our relationship with one another, that we need to care for one another, such that even the question that God asked to Cain in the beginning, where he said, where is your brother? The ironic answer that was given by Cain definitely should not be the one to be given today, because as we have been enlightened, Cain said, am I a keeper of my brother? Surely in this present time, that is not an answer that you can. After we have passed through all that we have passed through, we have been grounded in the word of God to the point like Zambia, where we declared Zambia as a Christian nation, so as to make Zambia culturally aligned to the will of God. And still, in action, we seem to be giving God that particular answer to say, am I a keeper? Are we keepers of our own brother? If we are not keepers of our own brothers, our own sisters, if we are not prepared to get concerned about people around, why have you, in the first place, declared Zambia as a Christian nation? Zambia has been declared a Christian nation because we are saying we need to respond to that particular question properly, the question that was asked to Cain. We can't be so careless as to say, are we keepers of our own brothers? Are we keepers of our own brothers? We need to get concerned. So I'm talking about counting, I'm talking about concern, I'm talking about census, where everyone must be captured, where everyone must be taken care of in whichever manner. Because if there is anything that brought Jesus Christ into this world, it's because of the concern that he had for many people who were in vulnerable conditions. Because he knows us so well. And God, from the beginning, has always wanted that we take care of one another, that we capture everybody. We capture everybody. We count everybody. There should be no one who must be left. My brothers and sisters, I want to tell one thing. Have we really, or just ask one question, have we really, thought about the people that we see on the streets, like the people that I would say insane, who have lost the respect of the society or the community, the street kids. What question is God, asking us around the street kids? What question is God asking us about the orphans? What question is God asking us about old people? What question is God asking us about the crippled people, most of them who don't have even wheelchairs? What question is God asking us about different kinds of people in vulnerable conditions? My brothers and sisters, let's look critically at some of these issues, these questions that God has been asking us and which have echoed throughout generations. And sometimes when I reflect, I become even guilty that there's so much that we haven't done. And especially that even when Jesus Christ will come, his basis of judgment will be based on accountability? Have we been able to account for each one of us? My brothers and sisters, being a Christian nation, let's look at, the instruction that was given to Moses, and which is the same instruction which is given today to the church, to our leaders, to every person, individuals, so that we take care of each other, so that no one basically is left unnoticed, left unaccounted for. Thank you very much.